Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ghost again with another quick tutorial. So, you guys are moving pretty quick and picking up on things pretty fast. Everybody's going to be flying here soon if you're not already, so I figured I'd give you a quick little snippet on how to get around in your SV or CV. So, first and foremost, once you have a ship, make sure that you've got fuel in it. Again, go into your P menu. You can manage your oxygen, your fuel, and your pentaxid all from the screen right here. So long as you have the items that you need in your inventory, you can simply click fill all and it'll take those items and put them into its respective category. Next thing, while we're here, I'm going to show you when you're in your ship's P menu here. These general switches right here can be pretty useful in helping manage your power left time also. So as you can see right now, it says that I have 51 hours and 15 minutes worth of fuel left. My power is on, my oxygen is off, my shield, this ship doesn't have one, but whenever you spawn a ship in, even if it doesn't have a shield is on by default, but as you can see, it made no difference in my power output. Signals, turrets and weapons, auto brake, thrusters, pilot mode, all of these can really help with your fuel. So typically when you land a ship, if you're not worried about drone attacks or anything like that, then you can go ahead and just click this button here and it will power the entire ship down. As you can see, all the lights are off. Now this means that the turrets, of course, even though this light is green, there's no power here. See, no consumption, no power left, everything is turned off. The problem with this is your turrets don't work. So a lot of times, especially early game when you're spawning in a ship, you'll use that ship, you'll set it next to your base and hopefully use the turrets that are on it to kind of help protect your base or whatever. So what you can do in that event, you can leave the power on and just leave the thrusters off. So as you can see right here, sitting here with the power on, my thrusters off, I've got 51 hours and 11 minutes worth of fuel. The minute that I cut the thrusters on, you can see that that drops down to about 30 minutes. So that's going to drain your fuel a lot quicker. So just rule of thumb, if your ship's on the ground, just cut your thrusters off, and that goes for when you're raiding POIs and everything too. Just a quick little tip. Alright, so the next thing that I want to show you is you don't necessarily have to go into the P menu to cut your ship on and off. There is a quick button. It is by default Y. So if you're on your ship and you say you've just landed and you're running out and you realize, oh crap, I forgot to cut it off, you can just hit your Y button and it'll shut the ship off for you. And the same goes for cutting it back on. So you don't necessarily have to use those buttons. So the next thing that you want to do is, before you actually take your ship into space, you need to make sure that you have oxygen in your ship, and then you need to make sure that the oxygen is in fact turned on. So what this does, if there's oxygen here and your ship has a ventilator, then it will pump oxygen into the space that you're in. So make sure that you got your oxygen switch on. As you can see, oxygen went down a little bit, but now the ship is quote-unquote pressurized. So now we're going to take off. We're going to cut our thrusters on, and I'm going to use a space bar. Pretty generic keys. So a little about the HUD. On the left-hand side is your altimeter, telling you approximately what your height and altitude is. So I'm hovering at about 122 meters off the deck right now. On the right-hand side, you've got your speed. Now at the top is your max speed and then the actual speed that you're going. I want to show you a little something. If I press the space bar, my speed's going up, but it doesn't quite get all the way to the max speed. What you can do, if you press and hold control, then it will set the autopilot and it will force it all the way up to the 60 meters per second or whatever your max speed is, and it sets an autopilot. You can take your hands off the keyboard and not have to worry about it. So once you're in space and you broke atmosphere, then you can stop your ship. Now there's a couple of different ways of doing this. Primarily, your auto brake system is going to be on. Whenever you're in atmosphere, you always want that on. Otherwise, your ship is just continuously going to fall to the ground. So what that is right here, auto brake. So when you're in atmosphere, you want that on. It helps to keep you level, and it helps you to maintain control of your craft while you're in atmosphere. When you're in space, you can actually conserve your fuel further by cutting this off. Now I'm going to show you an example of that real quick. Right now I'm going to leave it on, and we're going to just set a course. So now I'm just going to fly straight ahead. You can see that in space we obviously go a little bit faster. I'm up to 100 meters per second. Now I'm holding W. I have auto brake on. So what that means is if I take my finger off W, then auto brake's going to kick in, and you can see I'm slowing down. So what you can do to get around that, there's a couple of things. Number one, obviously set the autopilot. So again, we're going to press and hold left control. You can see that sets the autopilot. Now I'm hands-free and I'm engaged at full speed. Now over on the right hand side, you've got the fuel readout. It says 184.6 minutes, 0.5. It's going down because our thrusters are pushing out everything that they can. We're burning through our fuel. So a way to avoid that when you're in space, go into your P menu, cut that auto brake off. Once you've cut the auto brake off, go ahead and cut your autopilot off and watch what happens to your speed. So you can see that our autopilot's off. Our fuel jumped up to 1907 minutes of fuel left, and we're still traveling at almost 100 meters per second. So you don't have the auto brake system on, so your thrusters aren't working, but you're in space, so whatever momentum you have is going to keep you moving until you create a force to contradict it. It's that whole Newton's law thing. So just a quick tip. Thought some of you needed to know that. Next big thing that you need to know about space flight, and then should be done with this tutorial. You need this thing called pentaxid, and you need a warp core. And the reason that you need these things is so that you can get around to the different planets and whatnot that is in the system that you're working in. So this map you're familiar with. This is your compass map. You use it on the planet, and it gives you where all the POIs are at, the deposits, so on and so forth. It gives you the lay of the land. When you're in orbit, it does the same thing. Next to it, there is this galaxy map. Now, if you click on that, it brings up the screen here. Now, you can scroll in and out and get a better view of the system that you're in and the different planets that you can go to. Now, the way that you have to go to these planets is actually pretty easy, but it took me a while to figure it out back when I first started playing, so I'm going to save you guys some time. Let's say that we want to go over here to Vortor. So you go into your galaxy map, you find Vortor, you click on it. Now, once you click on it, look over here, and if this lock target button is not blue like it is right now, you see I can click on that. If you can't click on that, then a couple of things could be wrong. Either that planet is too far away, or there's a one-way warp path. Something's not going to let you jump to that planet. So just pay attention there. But once you've got this ability, you just click lock target. What that's going to do when you exit out of your map, look around the border of your screen. You can see it right there in the middle bottom of mine for the kind of yellowish orange arrow. That's the direction that you need to face your ship. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to whip it around here. And that brings me to the next thing I wanted to show you. So what I was just doing, I was trying to maneuver my ship, and it's that whole drag the mouse, pick it up, drag it some more, pick it up thing. Gets annoying. So there's another thing on the P menu that will help with that. Pilot mode. If I click that on, what that's going to do, now you see in the center of my screen I've got a circle that's with my crosshair. Now, if I move my mouse, then the circle moves. And as you can see, I'm just barely moving my mouse and I'm steering my ship. So this makes space travel and space flight a whole heck of a lot easier. Now, it takes some getting used to whenever you're in combat, but to each their own when it comes to that. So we've got our target locked. We are wanting to warp to Vortor there. Now, I'm going to reactivate my auto brake to show you guys something real quick. Alright, so you can see we're stopping. Now we're at all stop. We've got our warp locked. So what button do you hit to do it? K. If you remap buttons or whatever, that's fine. Just try to remember what the defaults were and just adjust accordingly. But your default warp button is K as in kilo. So you've got your target locked, you've got pentaxid, you've got a warp tank, everything's good to go. So you just hit K, right? No. You actually have to be moving fast enough to be able to warp to a system. Now, as far as how fast you have to be moving, you can't just be barely going. You've got to be going, I think it's like 50. Let's try 45 and see if that happens. Well, I was wrong. So you've got, I think it's like 30. But you've got to have a little bit of momentum. Once you've got that momentum, you've got your target locked, you just point your ship at the crosshair, press K, and there you go. Now, quick thing about it, you cannot warp while you have your shield active. So you'll need to either go into your P menu and turn your shield off before you warp, or you can just use a quick button, which by default is X. Alright guys, so just throwing that out there. Hope you guys can use it, and we'll see y'all around. Thanks.